Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Johnson. I'm going to do a book talk. I'm going to talk about several books that I really loved. Every single book I'm going to talk about, I really loved a lot, and they are highly recommended by me. I do have some copies of these. If you want a delivery, let me know. Otherwise, you can obviously get them from Amazon, other online sources. Again, I know the library is still closed, but there are ways where you can get, where you can download a book from the library. I just don't know how to do it because I haven't done it yet because I don't like reading on a device. So the first two books I'm going to talk about are pretty similar. First book, The Miscalculations of Lightning Girl. I'm going to read a little bit of it to you. And the girl, Lucy, she's very smart. And the reason why she's really smart is because when she was really young, she was struck by lightning. And so because she was so advanced and so smart at such a young age, she was homeschooled. And now, though, her grandmother, who is raising her, says, before you go to college, because she's young and she's ready to go to college already, her grandmother says, you have to do middle school first. And Lucy does not understand why she has to go to middle school. So she does end up going to middle school, and you can imagine how hard it would be if you've been homeschooled almost your entire life, and then all of a sudden you have to go to school. So I'm going to read a little bit to you. I don't remember the moment that changed my life 4 years ago. Call it a side effect of being struck by lightning. That bolt of electricity burned a small hole in my memory. It also rewired my brain, transforming me into Lucille Fanny Callahan, math genius. I've been told the lightning strike story 42 times, so it's almost like my own memory. I see it perfectly. I'm at the Crystal Creek Apartments where Nana and I lived then. There's not really a creek, just a big dirty fountain in front. I'm playing outside with a girl named Cecilia when the thunderstorm starts. We live in North Carolina and storms happen all the time in spring and summer. We watch from behind a tool shed. For some reason, I climb on the chain link fence. Maybe 8-year-old me was a daredevil. 12-year-old me definitely is not. Lightning strikes the fence, and the electricity runs through the metal links and then through me. Some of the current even jumps from me to Cecilia. I'm knocked out. Cecilia is just knocked over. She runs and gets help. Joe, the maintenance man, uses a defibrillator on me because the electricity from the lightning stopped my heart. The electricity from the defibrillator starts it back up. I do remember the hospital and the black burns on my pale hands. I remember pretending to be asleep while Nana prayed next to my bed. I only stayed in the hospital one night. The doctors did all their tests. They said my heart took a 2 to 5 minute nap. I hate that no one knows the exact number. They said I was lucky and I'd be fine, back to normal in a few days. But doctors are wrong sometimes. A week later, Nana and I were watching TV and a commercial came on for a used car dealership. The man was screaming, so I had to pay attention. That's $359 a month for 48 months, folks. He was really loud. Nobody beats Frank Fontana. Nobody. I yelled back. 17,232. What? Nana asked. That's how much the car costs, I said. Did you read it on the TV? I just know. 359 times 48 is 17,232. Nana frowned and shook her head. But then she got up and went to find a calculator. What were those numbers again? She asked. I told her and she punched them in. And the answer? 17,232. You're right. She sounded surprised. I wasn't surprised, but I guess I should have been. I mean, I was only in second grade, and we were still learning addition and subtraction. So that's a little bit about the miscalculations of Lightning Girl. There's also a rescue dog in here. So if you like dogs, if you like math, if you like smart girls, I think you'll like this one. Like I said, the next one is pretty similar. It's one I loved. I read this one several years ago. It's called Rain, Rain. Also about a really smart girl. Also has a dog in it. So I'm going to read you a little bit about it. The main character, her name is Rose, and she is obsessed with homonyms. Homonyms are words that are spelled exactly the same. They sound exactly the same, but they're spelled differently and have some different meanings. So the first chapter is called Who I Am, a Girl Named Rose, Rose. But obviously, can see this. There's also a word ROWS, which means something different. I am Rose Howard, and my first name has a homonym. To be accurate, it has a homophone, which is a word that's pronounced the same as another word, but spelled differently. My homophone name is Rose. Most people say homonym when they mean homophone. My teacher, Mrs. Cushel, says this is a common mistake. What's the difference between making a mistake and breaking a rule? I want to know. Making a mistake is accidental. Breaking a rule is deliberate. But if, I start to say, Mrs. Cushel rushes on. It's all right to say homonym when we mean homophone. That's called a colloquialism. Breaking has a homonym. I tell her, breaking, B-R-A-K-I-N-G. I like homonyms a lot, and I like words, rules, and numbers too. Here's the order in which I like these things. 1, words, especially homonyms. 2, rules. 3, numbers, especially prime numbers. I'm going to tell you a story. It's a true story, which makes it a piece of nonfiction. This is how you tell a story. First, you introduce the main character. I'm writing this story about me, so I am the main character. My first name has a homonym, and I gave my dog a homonym name too. Her name is Rain, R-A-I-N, which is special because it has 2 homonyms. Rain, R-E-I-N, and Rain, R-E-I-G-N. I will write more about Rain in Chapter 2. Chapter 2 will be called My Dog Rain. Rain, Rain. Something important about the word write, W-R-I-T-E, is that it has 3 homonyms. R-I-G-H-T, R-I-T-E, and W-R-I-G-H-T. That's the only group of 4 homonyms I've thought of. If I ever think of another 4 homonym group, it will be a red letter day. I live with my father, Wesley Howard, and neither of his names has a homonym. From our front porch, you can see our front yard, and our driveway and our road, which is called Hud Road. Road has 2 homonyms, R-O-W-E-D and R-O-D-E. On the other side of the road is a little forest, and through the trees you can see the New York Thruway. The word see has a homonym, S-E-E and S-E-A. But even better, sees has 2 homonyms, S-E-A-S and S-E-I-Z-E. I'm in 5th grade at Hatford Elementary. There's only one elementary school in Hatford, New York, and only one 5th grade classroom in the school, and I'm in it. All right, so again, if you like dogs, if you like words, if you like smart girls, I think you'll really like Rain, Rain. I like this one a lot. The next one I want to talk to you about is called Front Desk. I read this last summer, and I asked the school to order a class set of it because I liked it so much. The girl in this story, her name is Mia, and she has to help her parents run a motel. They moved from China to California, and it's a really inspiring story, and I think you'll really enjoy it. I'm going to read a little bit of it to you. This is called Front Desk. My parents told me that America would be this amazing place where we could live in a house with a dog, do whatever we want, and eat hamburgers till we were red in the face. So far, the only part of that we've achieved is in the hamburger part, but I was still holding out hope, and the hamburgers here are pretty good. The most incredible burger I've ever had was at the Houston Space Center last summer. We weren't planning on eating there. Everybody knows museum food is 50,000 times more expensive than outside food. But one whiff of the sizzling bacon as we passed by the cafe and my knees wobble. My parents must have heard the howls of my stomach because the next thing I knew, my mother was rummaging through her purse for coins. We only had enough money for one hamburger, so we had to share, but man, what a burger. It was a mile high with real bacon and mayonnaise and pickles. My mom likes to tease that I devoured the whole thing in one gulp, leaving the 2 of them only a couple of crumbs. I'd like to think I gave them more than that. The other thing that was great about the Space Center was the free air conditioning. We were living in our car that summer, which sounds like a lot of fun, but actually it wasn't, because our car's AC was busted. So after the burger, my dad parked himself in front of the vent and stayed there the rest of the time. It was like he was trying to turn his fingers into popsicles. My mom and I bounced from exhibit to exhibit instead. I could barely keep up with her. She was an engineer back in China, so she loves math and rockets. She oohed and ahed over this module and that module. I wish my cousin Shen could have been there. He loves rockets too. So that's where I'll stop, and then you can read on a little bit more if you're interested. But like I said, so Mia and her parents, they moved to California, and they end up managing a motel. And I'll let you read more about the motel manager and then what ends up happening later on in the book, and how Mia ends up running the front desk by herself. So very inspiring. I think you'll enjoy this one, Front Desk. The next one I want to talk about is The Thing About Jellyfish. I've lent this out to several kids. I read this last summer also. It's one of the probably the top 10 books I've ever read in my life. It's a really good book. It's a National Book Award finalist. And I just really loved it. It just really was mesmerizing to me. So I'm going to read you a little bit about it. So the main character's name is Susie, and she's also pretty smart, and her best friend has died, and she's really trying to find out why and what exactly happened to her best friend. I'm going to read a little bit to you, the thing about jellyfish. A jellyfish, if you watch it long enough, begins to look like a heart beating. It doesn't matter what kind, the blood-red Atolla with its flashing siren lights, the frilly flower hat variety, or the near-transparent moon jelly, Aurelia aurita. It's their pulse, the way they contract swiftly and then release, like a ghost heart, a heart you can see right through, right into some other world where everything you ever lost has gone to hide. Jellyfish don't even have hearts, of course. No heart, no brain, no bone, no blood. But watch them for a while. You will see them beating. Mrs. Turton says that if you lived to be 80 years old, your heart would beat 3 billion times. I was thinking about that, trying to imagine a number that large. 3 billion. Count back 3 billion hours, and modern humans don't exist. Just wild-eyed cave people, all hairy and grunting. 3 billion years and life itself barely exists. And yet here's your heart doing its job all the time, one beat after the next, all the way up to 3 billion. But only if you get to live that long. It's beating when you're sleeping, when you're watching TV, when you're standing at the beach with your toes in the sand. Maybe while you're standing there, you're looking at sparkles of white light on dark ocean, wondering if it's worth getting your hair wet again. Maybe you notice that your bathing suit straps are just a little too tight on your sunburned shoulders, or that the sun is too bright in your eyes. You squint a little. You are as alive as anybody else right now. Meanwhile, the waves keep rolling over your toes, one after another, like a heartbeat almost, you can notice or not. And the elastic is digging in. And perhaps what you notice more than the sun or the straps is how cold the water is, or the way the waves create hollow places and wet sand beneath your feet. Your mom is off at your side somewhere. She's taking a picture, and you know you should turn to her and smile. But you don't. You don't turn, you don't smile, you just keep looking out at the sea, and neither of you knows what matters about this moment or what's about to happen. How could you? And the whole while, your heart just keeps going. It does what it needs to do, one beat after another, until it gets the message that it's time to stop, which might happen a few minutes from now, and you don't even know it. Because some hearts beat only about 412 million times, which might sound like a lot, but the truth is, it barely even gets you 12 years. All right, so that was the beginning of The Thing About Jellyfish. The last one I have recommended this to a lot of kids. If you like basketball, you will like this book. I'm going to embarrass myself now and read it because I have no rhythm. I can't rap, but it very much sounds like rap, especially at the beginning. So it's called The Crossover by Kwame Alexander. Unfortunately, my timing is not great because just yesterday, the author himself started reading this on his Instagram page. So if you are interested, if you have an Instagram, I'd be glad to share that link with you. I think it's just his name, Kwame Alexander, on Instagram. If you don't have an Instagram, maybe if your parents do, if they could show it to you, and so that way you could watch him reading it. He does a far better job than I do of reading this book. So what I like a lot about this book is that there's not a lot of text on the page. If you have read Love That Dog or some of the other books that are kind of set up like poetry, don't let poetry scare you though, okay? So you can see that most of the pages have this much text on them. So it's nice because if you're not into really long chapters, if you rather would like read in short doses, this would be a really good book for you. So this book is about Josh Bell and his twin brother. and it's a lot about basketball. So I will read a little bit to you. And again, I'm going to embarrass myself here. Dribbling. At the top of the key, I'm moving and grooving, popping and rocking. Why you bumping? Why you locking? Man, take this thumping. Be careful, though, 'cause now I'm crunking, crisscrossing, flossing, flipping, and my dipping will leave you slipping on the floor while I swoop in to finish with a fierce finger roll straight in the hole. Swish. Josh Bell is my name, but Filthy McNasty is my claim to fame. Folks call me that 'cause my game's acclaimed, so downright dirty it'll put you to shame. My hair is long, my head's tall, see I'm the next Kevin Durant, LeBron, and Chris Paul. Remember the greats, my dad likes to gloat, I balled with Magic and the GOAT. But tricks are for kids, I reply. Don't need your pets, my game's so fly. Mom says, your dad's old school, like an old Chevette. You're fresh and new, like a red Corvette. Your game's so sweet, it's a crepe Suzette. Each time you play, it's all net. If anyone else called me fresh and sweet, I'd burn mad as a flame. But I know she's only talking about my game. See, when I play ball, I'm on fire. When I shoot, I inspire. The hoop's for sale, and I'm the buyer. All right, so if you like basketball, if you like sports, if you like not a lot of words on the page, check out the crossover. I do have a few copies of this one. Not a ton, but I do have some if you need one. He also wrote another book called Booked, and it's about soccer, set up the same way, very much like poetry. So please let me know if you're interested in any of these. Like I said, I do have some copies of each of the titles, and I hope that I've given you some ideas for what to read next. Good luck. Have a great day.